Hey everybody, Joel pal Brian Hunt. Welcome to an episode of 60 Seconds of Risk. And today I have a very distinct pleasure having Alexandra McMyler on the show. Thanks for coming, Alexandra.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I've known Alexandra for a number of years, and as you know, I like to bring on people here who do construction, but specifically people who have been entrepreneurs and decide to start their own firm, because we call this 60 Seconds of Risk, but probably the biggest risk you take is starting your own firm. So Alexandra, you've been doing this for 3 years now, correct?
Correct. You were one of my first friends in the industry 5 years ago when I got into the industry.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, 2 years after we met,
Yeah.
I decided to jump off.
I remember that,
do
yeah.
my own thing.
Exactly. So, as I like to say, what was the impetus to start your own firm? Because going on your own without a safety net, it's one of the biggest risks you can take, right?
Yeah, it was, and I jokingly say that, like, I think I just didn't fully think it through, because if I had, I never would have done it.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I was at a point, personal circumstances, I needed to find a way to support my children and I.
Okay.
And I'd been out of the workforce for 10 years. I was a stay-at-home mom
Yeah.
for 10 years. I didn't have a great resume to be able to jump off and go get some great paying job that was going to be able to afford the life that I wanted to give my kids.
Sure.
And a friend and I we saw an opportunity that was too good to pass up.
Okay. So tell us about what the firm does.
So Archer Specialties is a Division 10 subcontractor.
Okay.
We provide and install commercial accessories to general contractors. So typically on a building, we're the sub that comes in at the end and does all the commercial accessories. Typically restroom partitions, ADA type stuff, grab bars, soap dispensers,
Yeah.
but that can be everything all the way to wall protection, lockers, bike racks, flagpoles.
Yeah.
It's a catch-all.
So when you decided to take the leap, and you started off with the business partner, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you're focused on construction. So was your efforts in that first, I would say the first 3 months, what were you trying to do to get this thing up and running?
The first few months, it was a lot of just like, how do you get an LLC, and like, what's an EIN? How do I get that?
Yeah.
And like, kind of figuring out what I even needed
Yeah.
to have. I also, was our first and only employee for a long time.
Sure.
So I was learning how to estimate, as well as trying to go find projects, business development.
Yeah.
And then we'd win something, and then I had to figure out how to execute it, and then I had to figure out how to bill it, and it was a lot of very groundwork. Like we purposely started this as shoestring as possible.
Yeah.
It was, let's see how far we get. And then we quickly grew to a point where it's like, no, I really need some help. My best efforts are not spent here.
Yeah.
There's people that are better at this than I am.
Yeah.
And, the cash flow problem of
Cash is king.
do you hire in anticipation of that, or do you get it going yourself and just kind of struggle bus it for as long as you can?
Sure.
That's the option you go with.
So obviously, jumping on your own must be stressful, and you got 2 kids that rely upon you. You're gonna be the only person. So, but obviously, you're still here 3 years later. So, what, as you think about looking 3 years ago, if you look about when you jumped into this, what were the things that you say you didn't necessarily know, or I didn't think about that?
I've got enough friends and family that have their own businesses that I knew what I was getting into in terms of the hard work and the stress.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about how like it's just on your shoulders all the time, and one of the tough things about being a business owner is there's never a to-do list that's complete. You can work all day long, and there's still more you could be doing at all times. So getting comfortable with that was a challenge. What was tough for me was to get used to the highs and the lows, because the highs are so high.
Yeah,
you have a win and this is great, and you feel like you had something to do with it. It's just, I'm on top of the world kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But the lows, when you're stressed about something and you don't have a plan, like that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was just getting comfortable being uncomfortable and learning that, okay, yes, this is a problem, this is uncomfortable, but it will pass. And breaking down the okay, how are we going to attack this problem? We're going to do what I can do, what I can control today, what I can do about it today, and then shut it down, try to sleep, attack it again tomorrow.
So as we finish up here, if you think about, it's amazing amount of courage and to take that leap to start on your own, and you're a single mom and raising 2 kids, and you've had success. You've been here 3 years now. if you stop and think about it, if somebody's here watching this and they're thinking about going on their own, what piece of advice would you give them to think about? You need to think or get these things in line, or think about this before you make that jump.
It would be to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because whether it's, there's a phone call you have to make that you don't really want to make,
Yeah.
or if it's, I'm not really good at the business development side of things. Like, there's nobody else to do it.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't do it, it doesn't happen. You're the one that pays the price.
Yeah.
So there's no greater motivator than that.
Yeah.
And I'm a very risk-averse person. If I had really sat down and thought about it,
Dude.
I would never have done this. Starting a business is not a logical decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say, now that I've done it,
Yeah.
I'm ruined for ever working a normal job again.
Yeah.
I mean,
Always got to be yourself.
the feeling of control over my own destiny is unsurpassed.
I mean,
I trust, if in nothing else, I trust in my ability and my capability to work hard, and so that's what I'm going to do. That's the thing I can control. That's what I'm going to do. And the feeling of your efforts being directly tied to results is hard to beat.
Okay. Can't say any better than that. Alexandra, thank you so much for your time. This has been fantastic. If there are certain individuals or topics you'd like to see on this show, please post a note on LinkedIn. You can also find this video and all my other videos and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. You can also find the links to these videos on the website formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, Substack, and Facebook. Until next time, guys. Bye.